I understand that you have obligations to your friends in the Dark Brotherhood. If I might ask a favor, allow me to step away when you're engaged in such activities. My honor makes it hard to reconcile our friendship and your actions. I will never get tired of watching you fight like that. Well done.
You didn't do too bad yourself. Oh, hey, we got company. Hello there. We were just headed down to Balmore to meet a contact. I'm glad you're here, though. You just saw a little of the new Arcanist build in action. In the last video, I suggested that the new Scribe skill Banner Bearer could be used to get more damage out of that build. Well, as it turns out, the same skill can really help out on an Arcanist. This is a damage dealer build intended for the 4-player dungeons, and you guys that have followed the channel know that this is off-meta stuff. And I don't have anything against the meta, but on my channel I'm looking for builds that are typically a little easier for the average player to use. This build is what I usually refer to as an intermediate build. This is a little too much for a beginning player to put together, but there may still be some takeaways for you if you're a new player. The build uses a mythic item, but that can be omitted if you want to run a simplified version. Alright, that's enough introductory stuff, so let's get on with today's build, Mystic Banner. Alright, let's cut to the chase. Where's Vea?
Don't be so eager, my darling. It reveals too much about your ultimate intention.
Well, if I seem anxious, it's probably because that last business we were involved in together got ugly.
Don't sound so offended. You had to know your hands were going to get dirty eventually. You are dealing with assassins and politicians, after all.
Why do I feel like she played me like a fiddle back there?
My honor as a knight has given me purpose over the years. Thievery and murder run counter to that code. I hope you understand.
I won't allow any stain on your character. I'll handle Naryu and any unsavory stuff. Speaking of character, let's have a look at my pitch black character sheet. I'm on a Dark Elf character, which works out pretty well as I adventure in Vardenfell. Dark Elves are a top damage dealer race, and I'll put up the tier list for stamina damage dealers. Dark Elves have bonuses to stamina and magicka and weapon and spell damage, making them an ideal class if you're looking to maximize damage. I was just thinking that I have a character of every race except Argonian, but that's probably going to change, because like Khajiit, Argonians have grown on me a lot. Maybe that's the influence of Sharp as Knight. Anyway, I may just have to roll one. I'm using the Thief Mundus stone, which is going to be the best Mundus for group content. The Thief increases my critical strike chance, and don't confuse that with the critical damage modifier. My buff food I use in content is Dubious Camoran Throne. This increases health, stamina, and stamina recovery. In the sample fight coming up, I use Lava Foot Soup and Salt Rice. That's good when I'm not looking for more health and I want to maximize damage. At the top of the sheet, I've got all 64 points in stamina. That leaves me with 21,000 points of health and 28,000 points of stamina. I've got 5,700 points of weapon damage and 54% crit, and major brutality and major savagery are already factored in there. I use potions of weapon power on this setup so I can get extra crit on my back bar, but strictly speaking, I don't have to. I could just go with tri-stat potions here. Penetration is at 4,000 on the character sheet, and I get another 5,000 points by running a skill with Major Breach. Don't waste time in your builds trying to get a bunch of extra penetration. In most group compositions, you're going to get a lot of penetration from the group for free. And the stuff at the bottom of the sheet isn't important for PvE damage dealers, so let's move on.
This looks promising. Might even lead to the wine cellars. I could use a good bottle of wine.
You're thinking about wine? You've got me trespassing for the second time, and you're here to kill someone. My rapport with Isobel is tanking.
The hero of a fantastic tale, and I get to ride with you.
That was a good warm-up. I want to check on my skills before we meet up with Naryu, though. This is a 2-bar build, but it's a really simple 2-bar build. As a matter of fact, I don't think this is any harder than playing an Oakensole setup. Light attack weaving isn't very important here if you're running the exact gear that I am. Still, you'll need to get a few hits in to be sure you're building ultimate. This build only uses 3 buttons on the back bar and 2 on the front. My back bar is a fire staff, and the first skill I use on that bar is the Arcanist skill, Inspired Scholarship. Inspired Scholarship gives me Major Brutality, which increases my weapon damage by 20%. It also causes my class skills to do extra damage and generate Crux. Next, I use Elemental Susceptibility from the Destruction Staff skill line. This inflicts the 3 elemental status effects on my enemy every 7 seconds and reduces their armor by 5,000 points. This skill is a free cast and is one of the best skills in the game. The last skill I'm going to use on this bar is Elemental Blockade, which is another Destruction Staff skill. Since I'm using an Inferno Staff, this is going to create an area of fire damage over time, and it's going to have the secondary effect of increasing my weapon damage. The staff has to have a weapon damage glyph and be in the infused trait for this to work. My next skill is one that I toggle on at the beginning of the fight. This is the new Scribe skill, Banner Bear. My custom version of this skill increases magic damage by 6%, generates a Crux, and gives me Minor Berserk, increasing my damage by 5%. The majority of my damage on this build is magic damage, and generating Crux helps me be able to cast my most damaging ability more often. There's a downside to this skill though, in that it reduces all 3 of my recoveries by 30%. Well, as it turns out, the Arcanist needs a lot less recovery than other classes, so this is a build that can handle that easily. I have 2 skills left on this bar, and the first is my old friend, Resolving Vigor. This skill gives me a bursty heal over time and gives me Minor Resolve, increasing my resistance by 3,000 points. I can get this skill by simply doing the PvP tutorial, so there's no excuse for not having this essential stamina skill. The last skill on this bar is the Arcanist Ultimate Tide King's Gaze. This small likeness of Hermaeus Mora blasts my enemy with magic damage, following it as it moves and selects another target if the first one dies. It's true that the stationary morph does more damage, but I highly recommend taking the mobile version. Alright, that's it for my back bar. My front bar is dual wield daggers, and as I said already, I only use 2 of the skills on this bar. The magical banner skill is here because it has to be on both bars or it will disappear when I swap bars. There are 3 Fighters Guild skills here just to increase my weapon damage. The only one that I might use is Dawnbreaker. I'll use this where I need a fast ultimate for a moving target. The first skill I'm actively using is Cephaliarch's Flail, and I only use this if I need a Crux or a heal. I could eke out a little more damage if I use the Magicka morph, but I really like this version with the heal. If I have 3 Crux, I skip the Flail and just go straight to Exhausting Fate Carver, which does the vast majority of the damage on this setup. This channeled beam is devastating when I use it when I have 3 Crux, and the 6% boost from Banner Bear is like having an extra champion point buffing this. I'm going to use the Fate Carver twice, then I swap to my back bar and reapply Elemental Blockade. I bar swap again and use Fate Carver twice more, then repeat the whole process. Swapping to my back bar in the middle of this to reapply Blockade is looking dangerously like a dynamic rotation, but if I can do it, I'm pretty sure all you guys can too. Alright, I'll find one of the usual Knucklehead world bosses so you can see the skills in action. So the build output was 61,000 points of damage per second, and that'll take you anywhere you want to go in the game. On a Trials dummy, this will probably hit somewhere in the 95 to 100,000 range. If any of you guys try this out, let me know. I just don't have the time. If I turned every fight I did with these builds into a 3+ minute fight, I'd never get the videos finished. Exhausting Fate Carver did a whopping 61% of the damage. Look at the light attack damage down at the bottom, 3 whole points. I'm skipping a lot of light attacks, which will make you guys that hate weaving happy, but I'm also wearing a gear item that takes that damage down to nothing. I want to point out that I did use a potion of weapon power right at the beginning. I didn't have to do that, but without that I don't have major savagery on my back bar. In actual content, this saves me a lot of potions because I'm really only going to use them in boss fights. I get 10,000 points of penetration all on my own here without doing anything other than slotting a source of major breach. And once again, I'd like to discourage you guys from adding in any more penetration unless you know you're never ever going to run in a group.
I don't know why you consider these actions just. They are not.
We can moralize about this later, after we get out of here. I know, we shouldn't have gotten involved in this, and it goes against your code as a knight, but like it or not, we're in it. How's your rapport looking anyway? Oh God. While we're in town, I better check my gear. Well guys, I'm sorry if the gear turns out to be disappointing, but after running some more exotic stuff from the archive, I'm doing a few builds that rely on tried and true gear setups. So the first 5-piece set I'm wearing is the Order's Wrath set. This is a crafted set from the High Isle. I have a Nirnhone dagger with a poison glyph on my main hand and a precise dagger with a fire glyph on my offhand. You heard right, the offhand isn't charged. There isn't much going on here with status effects, and the build performed distinctly better with this setup. On my back bar, I've got a perfected Maelstrom's Inferno staff. If you don't have that, run the normal version or run an Order's Wrath staff. Run whatever you got and get out there. I'm wearing one piece of the Slimecrawl monster set for extra crit. That comes from Veteran Wayrez Sewers. Easy to get and very effective. Get this monster helm if you don't already have it. My second 5-piece set is Deadly Strike, and I'm sure you guys saw that coming. Like I said, there really aren't any surprises in the gear section. This set buffs channeled and damage over time attacks by 15% and is best in slot on an Arcanist. The Fate Carver skill gets a huge buff from this. I have one last piece of gear, and that's the Veloise Mage's Amulet. This increases my damage done to monsters by 15%, but it reduces my light attack damage to nearly nothing. And you saw that in the combat metrics results a minute ago. I'm wearing all medium body pieces with a Divine's Trait and stamina glyphs. I think I actually have one piece of infused on and a health glyph on one of the small pieces. My jewelry is bloodthirsty with weapon damage glyphs. Okay, let's take a look at the champion points and wrap this up. In the blue tree I have Master at Arms, Biting Aura, Fighting Finesse, and Wrathful Strikes.
How did I know you were going to show up, hero? Can't get enough of my smiling face,
No offense, but I hope it's a while before I see you again. That job went so well that we got to catch the next boat out of Vardenfell. I'll be lucky if there's not a writ with my name on it. And we're dumping a problem in Rosmdar's lap and counting on him to fix it. I have a lot of faith in Rosmdar, but that's a big ask. And look at Isobel's rapport. Well guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed today's Arcanist build, Mystic Banner. If you did, help me out with the algorithm by hitting the like button. And if you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel if you're not already subscribed. No fashion show today. I'm actually just wearing a costume. This is the Antiquarian Field Garb, and the hat is the Enigmatic Mood Mask. There's still a fight at the end if you want to put up with my extremely average game skills. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and enjoy your adventures in Tamriel.
We have been betrayed! They are upon us! Loyal to the end, Rhaenys. The world will mourn the loss of your wisdom. Move to flank!
I need healing.
My strength is measured in...
Move your feet. Get moving. never get tired of watching you fight like that. Well done.
It's kind of a club. It's a club for people that like to dress up in creepy clothes and sneak around, kind of. Yeah, but you're not a member yet, so you have to wait outside. I'll be right back. Just a few minutes.